Chapter 5, The Basis of Motivation. Have you ever seen somebody do something that you just couldn't figure out? Maybe you saw them frustrated and wish you knew how to help them. What about yourself? Have you ever aimed at the same goal over and over and wondered why it seems like you're getting nowhere? Let's change gears. Have you ever wondered what the purpose of life is? Have you ever wondered why some people see one thing as a priority and another person sees a completely different thing as a priority? Well, that's what Maslow's hierarchy of needs will help you figure out. By figuring that out, we understand ourselves more. We add greater meaning and have a greater purpose in our lives. This increases in purpose and meaning, and it helps us to find fulfillment and moments of extreme joy when everything flows together perfectly. For starters, Abraham Maslow never sat down and arrogantly said, "This is my hierarchy of needs." The title he gave it was actually A Theory of Human Motivation. That title is important because it gives us a great explanation of what was actually in the original 19-page document. He first stated that it was only a theory. He realized that this was not the only all-encompassing theory that would explain what motivates humans. In fact, shortly before his death in 1970, he admitted to a friend and fellow psychologist that his friend's theory was a complete model. It was his friend's model that prompted Maslow to change his well-known pyramid to having 6 stages instead of the classic 5 levels that we'll go over today. This is not saying that the 6th level, as well as the work of his friend, are not very valuable in understanding ourselves and others. It's simply such a deep subject that it would not be helpful to go over at this time in this book. I do cover this extensively in one of my higher level training programs, so feel free to get in contact with us so you can gain a better understanding beyond what we'll cover in this book. Maslow's hierarchy is one of the most legendary ideas in the history of psychology. Its brilliance is in an unassuming triangle divided into 5 sections. This profoundly influential pyramid first saw the world in an academic journal in the United States in 1943, where it was simply drawn in black and white and surrounded by a lot of big words. Since then, it has been frequently discussed and taught as a concept of psychological analysis, personal developments, and business presentations. We have also made it prettier over time by adding colors to it. Maslow was already 35 at the time and had been working as a psychologist for years. Prior to this, he had studied under the great psychologist Alfred Adler. Although he had been raised in an Orthodox Jew of Russian origins, he felt a pull since the beginning of his profession to look for the meaning of life. He wanted to find out what could make life meaningful for people, himself included. He saw psychology as the discipline that would enable him to answer the questions that people had previously tried to answer using religion. After having worked with a variety of clients, he started to notice what we seem to have as 5 different levels of needs. Maslow had looked at his life and the lives of his patients and questioned what was the most important lifelong goal. He realized that it had to be a big goal, one that would cover all the various aspects of life. He called it self-actualization. But he realized that before trying to get to that level, people need to have a foundation to build upon. He realized that people have always needed to finish the lower level needs in order to have the ability to get to the higher needs. He reverse engineered what he saw as the top motivator for humans and worked backwards. That's how he came up with the 5 levels. By reviewing Maslow's hierarchy, we can achieve a few things. It will help us to understand what is motivating ourselves. It will also help us to understand what is motivating others. We will be able to better see what is giving our own and others' lives meaning. It will thus help us to outline goals for ourselves at the proper stage we are at. It will help us to have a game plan of how to map out the path to achieve that goal. By achieving small incremental goals, we feel greater success and accomplishment. This accomplishment helps to raise our self-esteem and give ourselves greater self-worth. Physiological, basic survival. Imagine for a minute that you could go back in time about 6,000 years and see one of our ancestors running away from a bear in the forest. He had accidentally gotten between a mama bear and her cubs, and the mama bear didn't like it one bit. There he is, running and running and running as fast as he can. He's jumping over fallen trees and running through the plants. Let's imagine that he somehow even outsmarts the bear a little and gets a bit of a distance between him and the mama bear. She's following him, but she's a bit further back, maybe about 3-5 seconds behind him. Now, I want you to imagine that that same guy suddenly sits down on a log and starts to write a beautiful poem. What? That doesn't make any sense. There is no way that the guy would suddenly stop and write a poem. But why? Because he would get caught and eaten alive by the mama bear, right? The man would not care about the poem or anything else at this point. His main focus is simply on survival. That's what this first foundational stage is all about. It's about taking care of the things that will help the person live through the next day. The basics like food, water, sleep, breathing, and pooping. Sex is also included here, but only at a base survival of the species level. They are the things that we need to survive. This is not the level of want or comfort. It is a struggle at this stage. It is also important to note that this is the level where most of the estimated 52 billion that lived on this earth before us spent most of their time. Almost every single moment of every single day was focused on the motivation to do all that was necessary to get us through the next day. People would wake up and would get to work on the hunt or collecting plants to eat. Usually, it was incredibly difficult. They would also look for water, poop when they needed to, but then right back to trying to get food and water. Long 16 to 18-hour days full of the focus of just getting through the next day. At night, after a physically and probably emotionally stressful day, they would finally lay down and sleep, just to get back up the next day and do it all over again. I personally feel very grateful to these men and women in the past that went through so much. If it wasn't for all of their hard work and efforts, none of us would be here today enjoying all the luxuries that we have. It was because of that, and eventually, some of them figured out how to grow crops and raise animals for food. This gave them the ability to break out of the survival mind frame and move up the pyramid to the next level of safety and comfort. After we survive for a period of time and finally get a handle on the most basic of needs, we naturally strive for more comfort and safety. Although some existential psychologists, as well as the Stoics of old, have said that at times the meaning of life is found from the lessons of the struggle, we are biologically hardwired to seek comfort. For that reason, Maslow pointed out that the next level motivators are ones that increase our safety and give us a feeling of security. As seen in the diagram below, some of the motivators in this level are the security of body, health, employment, morality, property, and other resources. I like making it even clearer than that for you though. When I think of this level, I like to think of this as the things that would make me feel more comfortable in life. For instance, would a house make me feel more comfortable than a shelter I made in a cave or under some tree? Yes, a house would make me more comfortable. How about a steady job? Would I feel more safe and secure with a job that has a schedule for me, common tasks for me to learn and get good at, and a set payday more than standing on a street corner asking for money? Of course I would. Who wouldn't? This is not saying that the person who is asking for money on the street corner is a bad person. It's just that most of us would prefer having a set and steady supply of money coming in than the uncertainty of hoping that people are nice to me and will help me out. Would you feel more secure and safe if you were healthy or unhealthy? What about family? Is a child more secure and safe in a household that has more stability or less? There is an often unspoken secret to this level, one that many do not seem to realize when they are talking about Maslow's second stage. It is the secret that is the foundation of having security and safety in all things. The secret is order. Order is the basis and foundation of almost everything in life. It works in the direct opposite of chaos, by which nature gives us confusion, unhealthy levels of stress, and discomfort. I'm not saying that there are no positives to facing chaos at times, but we will discuss this later. Think about it. For me to have a secure place to live, I must first have organized the money or other arrangements to get access to the house, apartment, or room. Once inside the house, apartment, or room, we organize our belongings in relation to how we plan out our lives. Do I need to organize my clothes? Do I need to have an alarm clock close to my bed for me to wake up so that I can get to work in time? Work that provides money for me to rent. Will the alarm clock be on the nightstand or on a box I found? Will I need just a sheet on the bed for comfort, or will I need 3 blankets to keep the cold of winter away? This is the stage where we first get to start thinking about the future, about what we want, not just what we need. This is where the first pleasures of life start to be planned out. Being the first peak of the future is magical. At this point, we might not have everything we want, but we can start creating plans to get it. Plans which have been scientifically proven to give us joy by releasing the endorphins, dopamine, and serotonin. It's been proven that people who are striving to get their college degrees are more content, driven, and excited with the idea of getting the degree a month before they get it than a month after they have obtained it. But why? It's once again a holdover from the years ago when we needed that extra endorphin kick to move us forward with excitement when we see the red fruit on the tree instead of 10 minutes after we have eaten it. It's a survival mechanism. This level still is a driver to obtain needs and wants, but is far more advanced than the previous stage. The next level is the truly beautiful, though, because it is the one that starts shifting us away from purely physical things and starts guiding us towards emotional things. Things that are felt more, things that create true joy in our lives, because it helps us with the connection to other people. Love and belonging, relationships. Love and a sense of belonging open the door to the spiritual domain. When I say spiritual, I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about the non-physical domain, the spaces where we feel more than simply think or obtain physical needs. This is the space where we seek out our loved ones. We are looking for a connection with other people. Friendships are developed and maintained here. A family is sought out here. That family could be the one that we are born into, as well as the one we have chosen to join or be physically or emotionally adopted into. This is where the level where we seek out sexual intimacy. It's the stage where abundance starts to creep in. We start to realize and notice our values that are developing and coming to the surface of our consciousness. Here, we acquire resources and spend resources to get and develop what is most important to us. This is also true in the next stage. But this is where we find someone or multiple people to be on our team, to help us forward on our path to get to the next and higher levels of this pyramid. When someone is not at this level, but feeling a strong desire to be here, they will show signs of loneliness, sadness, despair. We should look out for sentences like, "No one wants me," no one loves me, or no one will ever love me. These are all statements that represent that they are losing hope at this level. Anger and aggression are sometimes seen here too. This is usually due to the frustrations of not having meaningful relationships. It would be beneficial at this stage to make a connection with them where they feel loved and important. Do what you can to help them know that someone cares. Think of the 5 love languages by Gary Chapman. The 5 languages are, in no particular order, words of affirmation, gifting, quality time, acts of kindness, and physical touch. These do not need to be deeply thought out. They can be simple acts, and although everyone has their own favorite, any of them will show an effort on your part. Let me give you a quick example that literally just came to mind. Years and years ago, during my community service in northern Brazil, I was walking early in the morning with my friend Tobias along the sidewalk near the center of a small town called Caicó. As we walked, I saw a homeless man crying with his head in his hands as he was sitting down on top of the cardboard that he had used as a bed the night before. On other occasions, I had walked by homeless people on busy streets, but this time there were no other people around, and I couldn't simply walk right by. So I sat down. I didn't know what to say, so I asked him why he was crying. I can't remember why he said that he was crying, but I do remember that I simply sat there across and listened to him. I really listened. I was paying attention to him and doing my best to imagine myself in his situation. I remember putting my hand on his shoulder and looking into his eyes as I said something to him. My buddy Tobias gave me a bottle of water to give to him, and although we were told not to give any of our own limited money to the homeless by the leaders of our community service group, we each gave him a little bit before we left. I remember telling Tobias that I felt bad that we couldn't do more as we walked away. Tobias was shocked. He then said that we did what was the best thing that we could have for that man, that we shared time, love, and concern for the homeless man. I want to challenge each one of you reading this book to do the same. It doesn't matter if you're reading this so that you can help someone out or if you're barely holding on to yourself. I would love to know that you went out there and showed some kindness to someone else that needs it. You might not even know the impact that it will have on their life. That one act of kindness, a smile, a kind word. Maybe you pay for somebody else's meal. Maybe you buy a bottle of water for a homeless person on a hot day. Maybe you tell your friend or loved one how much you love them or how thankful you are for something they did. When you do this, when you raise to the challenge, feel free to email me at vanderplasmike25@gmail.com and tell me the story. I would love to cheer you on for the good that you have done. It lifts my soul. Also, we get into greater detail of why this level is so magical and important, as well as how all of the other levels developed over time in our trainings. I hope to see you there soon. Esteem, achievement, and success. I know I've said it before, but I'm going to say it again. After you've worked out at least some of the love and belonging level, the natural progression is esteem and respect. I also like to call this the achievement and success level. This is the level that most of my coaching clients are focused on. They're looking to accomplish something or to get something physical like a new car or new house. Sometimes they are working towards a new job or finishing school. But this level goes so much deeper in our subconscious mind's needs for self-esteem and confidence. Self-esteem and confidence are often strengthened after getting respect from other people. By knowing this, we can see that it's completely a good thing to achieve the things we want as well to be admired by others. I'm not saying that should be the main focus of our lives or even of this level. What I'm saying is that it makes us feel a sense of pride when we have done something difficult and receive the reward for that effort. It's also nice to have those that we like and admire call attention to the things that we did or got. Most people have a need for stable esteem, meaning which is firmly based on real capacity or achievement. Not simply the idea, but the actual action and result of that action. Maslow noted two different versions of esteem needs. The lower version of esteem is the need for respect from others. That may include a need for status, recognition, fame, prestige, and attention. The higher version of esteem is a need or desire for self-respect and can often include a need for personal strength, competency, mastery, confidence, independence, and freedom. We might be tempted to think of these two as very different, but Maslow saw them as very close to one another and very important for the development of the other. In his own words, he said, hierarchies are interrelated rather than sharply separated. This means that esteem and the other levels are not really separated. Instead, the levels are incredibly closely related. It's important to point out that esteem comes from our individual day-to-day experiences that give us learning opportunities that help us to discover ourselves. This is more important with children than adults. It is still very important with adults too, which is why I'm giving them and ourselves opportunities to discover what they or we are competent and capable learners. We should thus seek to provide opportunities for children and adults to have successful and positive experiences that will give everyone a greater sense of themselves. If the person that you are reading this for is a child, remember that we can create and ensure an environment for children that is supportive and that provides them with opportunities that help them to see themselves as smart, strong, capable, and respectable individuals. Just as in the previous level of love and belonging, it should be known that we are biologically hardwired for connection. Our actual neural connections are made so that we will seek out approval and connection with others like us. There's been a lot of research that has proven this as a result of the fairly new study of neuroscience. Self-actualization, giving back. Lastly, we are driven by what Maslow called self-actualization. It's kind of a vague term, not clear, yet at the same time open to each person's interpretation. He described it as living according to one's full potential and becoming who one really is. That might be something very different for different people. In Maslow's own words, he stated, what a man can be, he must be. For Maslow, it was not simply what someone wanted to be. It was a must, a need to be the best we can be, to develop into our best selves, not only for ourselves, but for the greater good of the entire world. Because when someone has reached self-actualization, that person will seek out the development and good of all those he or she has influence over. He believed that it was through someone realizing their own full potential that it would help the entire world. I believe that Dostoevsky said that we are not only responsible for what we do, but also for everything that everyone around us does. Whereas each individual person can make choices for themselves and on their own, we do influence the thoughts and actions of other people, just as they influence ours. Tying it all together. When we see that someone has a problem at one level, it is important to realize that their problem exists because there is something incomplete in the next level down. If the person is presenting with a problem that they cannot find love or belonging, level 3, with other people, it can truly be seen as a problem of not fulfilling or completing their safety and security, level 2, needs. Let me give you an example. I have talked with some that have said that if they have too many things to worry about, it is more difficult to relax and enjoy sex than when everything is in order in their life. When the safety of a warm roof overhead is not there, if a person is getting evicted, they are usually not in a state of mind to be fully loving and expressive sexually. It's not impossible, but it does make it much more difficult. By getting the things in order on the next level lower than where the problem is, the person, or yourself, will have a much easier time than getting their goal or need to be met in the next level up. Secure a safe, warm home with all the bills paid and plenty of food and drink to go around, and the time and resources open to focus on finding love and belonging. If the person is having a difficulty with feeling safe and secure with their health, level 2, it might be because they do not have enough of the right food, water, or sleep, level 1 needs. Meet the person you are concerned about, or yourself, on the level that they are at. If you are self-actualized, level 5, and they are having a hard time getting all their need met at basic level needs, level 1, it would be ridiculous to try and have them sit down and write poetry like the man running from the mama bear. Put yourself in their mind and seek to help them where they are at. It would build a stronger rapport and connection between the two of you. This is a beautiful representation of the needs and motivators of life that will help you to help yourself and others for the rest of your life. Remember, at the lower levels, food is only to fuel our bodies, money is only to pay our bills, and sex is only to create new babies. At the upper levels, food is still to fuel our bodies, but is also to have pleasure and enjoyment. Money is still used to pay the bills, but it is also used to buy things or experiences that help us to enjoy life more and to increase our comfort in this world. Sex is still to create babies, but also to create greater connection in intimate relationships, as well as for enjoyment. There is hope. There is joy. There is connection. You will succeed. You will not get by. You will conquer. One last hierarchy secret. Not only is this the last hierarchy secret of this book, but it is also the most important secret. So read carefully. There is a hack to helping someone you care about, or yourself, out of their or your depression and sadness. It's cheating, and it's not cheating at the same time. By jumping past the levels you might not have gotten to or completed and borrowing on the role of someone that is self-actualized, you get to feel the joy and rewards of someone that is self-actualized to a point. What do I mean? Think of it this way. In the concentration camps during World War II, Viktor Frankl sometimes saw people that had nothing. People that were starving, sick, exhausted, worn out, gave their last piece of bread or soup to someone else. He said that when he witnessed this, he would also see the person that gave the food beam with joy, pride, and hope. Their entire being would light up, even though they had little or nothing to live for. That moment of giving and helping someone else gave their own life meaning. So, as I challenged you before, I challenge you again. To help someone that needs help, I want you to be responsible. If you cannot financially afford to help someone, you should help them to the level that you can help them. Do not take on more responsibility than you can, but see if you can help someone in some way. And then, please send me a quick email about it. It doesn't need to be well written or long. Heck, it could be just one sentence, but it would make my day. I'm sure it would make theirs too. I'm so proud of you.